Well, good morning. I begin by acknowledging we're gathered here this morning on traditional territory of Treaty 6, and I want to also recognize the Métis people who share a deep connection with this land. My name is Shannon Phillips. I'm the MLA for Lethbridge West. I'm the NDP Finance Critic, and I am joined here by my colleagues, Laurie Sigurdson, who is the NDP Seniors and Housing Critic and the MLA for Edmonton Riverview, and Rakhi Pancholi, who is the NDP Children's Services Critic and the NDP MLA for Edmonton Whitemud. We are all so honored to have Red Deer resident and AISH recipient Joanne Buehler joining us here today as well. Thank you, Joanne. Now, we're here today to announce our commitment to the people of Red Deer and indeed to the people of Alberta that should the NDP be elected to serve the people of this province, we will put money back in the pockets of Alberta families. Now, last week we saw inflation soar to a rate not seen in 30 years. The cost of everything is going up, and many of those increases have come as a direct result of UCP policies. Car insurance, tuition, student loan interest, school fees, and of course, property taxes. Now, all of those costs are going up directly as a result of specific public policy choices that the UCP and Jason Kenney have made. The MLAs for Red Deer have stood idly by and endorsed those massive increases to everything without saying a word. Now, in the case of school fees, the MLA for Red Deer North and Minister of Education, Adriana LaGrange, is directly responsible for increasing the yearly cost for families simply trying to send children to school. And it gets worse. As costs for families are being driven up, the UCP has also de-indexed numerous benefits. Well, what does that mean? It means that as inflation goes up, the benefit systems do not change in response. Now, Jason Kenney was once a staunch opponent of these sneaky tax hikes. He railed on the federal Liberal government back in the day for imposing this sneaky tax hike on Canadians. He called this scheme insidious and pernicious. He had all kinds of big words. He went even so far as to call the Prime Minister of the day a bracket creep. Now, who's the creep? The UCP scheme is wrong and it couldn't come at a harder time for families. In effect, the UCP is taxing inflation. And who pays for that? You do. Every single person who is filing their personal income taxes now will pay more as a result of the fact that Jason Kenney has in fact turned into the bracket creep. Albertans need their government to acknowledge that there are real pressures on families right now, and that is why the three of us are here today to make an explicit commitment to the people of Red Deer and to the people of Alberta. If we are elected, we will fix this problem, and we will allow all of our programs to fight inflation. We will inflation-proof your budget by giving you back more of your income tax, more of the benefits that you deserve at the same rate as inflation. If inflation goes up by 5%, so does the income tax system. We won't let Jason Kenney's approach last, which is that if inflation goes up by 5%, you pay more. Under our plan, we will see more help for families, seniors, and the most vulnerable. This is a simple change with big benefits, and you will see this commitment in our election platform. At today's sky-high inflation rates, what we're proposing is $1 billion in tax relief for Albertans. So let's just put that into perspective here. Jason Kenney is taking $1 billion more in personal income tax from you and your neighbors over the course of his fiscal plan. So I'm proud to stand here with my colleagues, to stand with our leader, Rachel Notley, in support of Alberta families and making life more affordable for everyone. Thank you, and I'll now turn things over to Rakhi.
Good morning, and thank you, Shannon. And thank you, Joanne, for joining us to make this important commitment to the people of Red Deer and to all Albertans. The household budgets of Alberta families have been hit so hard by UCP decisions. Key benefits like the Alberta Child and Family Benefit are not increasing with inflation. What we're here committing to today is to reverse that decision and ensure that when the cost of living increases, benefits for families, for seniors, and for vulnerable Albertans all increase as well. Let me be clear. If implemented today, the average family of 4, 2 dual earners, and 2 kids would be $400 ahead every year. This is money that would be much better put to use buying groceries, buying clothes for the kids, or planning a summer getaway. We understand, though, that this is not everything. We understand that $400 back in the pockets of Alberta families every year still won't be enough to overcome the thousands that many owe in back pay in skyrocketing utility bills. And I want families to know that we continue to assess how best to address that issue as well. We've been clear that the fake natural gas rebate that is unfunded in the UCP budget and the $50 electricity rebate don't go nearly far enough. And families expect and they need more. As well, we know many families are facing extreme stress as come April 15th, they could face utility cutoffs. Last week, my colleague, NDP Energy Critic and Calgary Mountain View MLA Kathleen Ganley brought forward legislation to extend the current legislated ban on utility shutoffs for another 6 months. We're back in the legislature this afternoon and we continue to press this government to pass this legislation. This week, we will also vote on the 2022 budget. And it's become very clear in progress. And it's become very clear that there is no help within it for Alberta families. There is still time to amend this budget. If the UCP is serious about helping Alberta families face this cost of living crisis, I encourage Albertans to speak out, write to your MLAs, write to the Premier. Let's put pressure on this government to do the right thing. And if they don't, and if they won't help Alberta families, Alberta's NDP is here and ready to do the right thing. Thank you, and I'll now turn things over to Lori Sigurdson.
Well, thank you, Rakhi and Shannon. And thanks to Joanne also for joining us here today for this important commitment to Albertans. Re-indexing the seniors benefit and AISH are critical. When the cost of living increases, it's vulnerable Albertans that suffer the most. The decision to de-index these benefits have had devastating effects on Albertans. In real terms, Albertans on AISH, like Joanne, will lose nearly $3,000 a year under the UCP's plan, while low-income seniors, those struggling with poverty, will lose roughly $750 a year. With our commitment today, that loss of income would be reversed. That, folks, is real relief for inflation. What is happening today is wrong. The UCP has decided that inflation is your problem, not theirs. The truth is, inflation is helping them drive up the provincial surplus, which means, in the simplest of terms, Albertans are paying for it. It's why Albertans just can't trust the UCP. An NDP government would level the playing field. When costs go up, they get more back. That's our approach, and it's better for Albertans. To all Albertans watching who can't afford their bills, who can't make ends meet, we hear you. We see you, and we see your struggles. And we will take action to make life more affordable for you and your family. Help is on the way. Thank you, and I will now turn things over to Joanne. So go ahead, Joanne.
I just put this here so that her notes didn't fly away.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. Just want to make sure they don't blow away.
Good morning, and thank you to Lori, Shannon, and Rakhi. It's so great to be standing with you here today as you commit to changes that will have a profound impact on my life and those of so many other Albertans. Let me tell you a little about myself. I have suffered from and with depression and anxiety for many years, but 6.5 years ago I was injured in a workplace accident. I have been living on AISH. In September of 2020, surgery on my right rotator cuff didn't go well, so I had to leave my part-time job this past November. But now, with the price of everything increasing, I can't make it on AISH payments alone. I had to make the decision to stop taking vitamin D for depression and calcium for my bones, of which I broke several in the accident. Choosing between vital medication and groceries is an extremely difficult decision. So I have gone back to work part-time as a hotel front desk receptionist. Even then, I'm behind and can't make ends meet. I am still behind on my bills, and can't possibly bear the pain of working more hours. I feel like I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. Put simply, I need more help from my provincial government, and that is why I'm standing here today. I am here with the NDP because I believe they care about me and the challenges I'm facing. So thank you, Lori, Shannon, and Rakhi. Thank you for caring about Albertans like me. Thank you. Shannon.
You can tell, Joanne, thank you, that I'm from Lethbridge. I was very concerned that your notes were going to blow away. The wind was top of mind. So let's now move on to questions then, if we...
Start with questions in the room.
Hi, thank you very much. So, just see here. Okay, so I guess I would just say, with regards to Joanne, I don't know if this is a personal question, but would you mind describing what you did before for your workplace accident? I just want to know a little bit more of your story. I'm curious to hear.
I have been a casino dealer since 1996, so that puts me at 25 years. But in the middle, I took a little break. I was mentally tired. I needed to do something physical, so I did go into construction and fell off a ladder.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that with us.
No problem.
And my second question would be, inflation is a nationwide problem that we're facing at the moment. So what problems do you think are, I know you mentioned some that are Alberta specific.
Yeah.
Do you mind describing those a little bit more for Alberta-wise compared to the national inflation
Sure.
that everyone's facing?
Sure. Well, there's no question that anyone who's been anywhere near a grocery store in the last couple of months has seen the increased cost of a number of different things. And there's no question that Canadians and indeed people across the world are facing some of these challenges. What makes Alberta different is the specific choices that Jason Kenney and the UCP have made to raise our costs of our electricity bills. Anyone who's opened their electricity or natural gas bill recently has had quite a shock, and that's because they removed the cap on electricity prices, and then they doubled, and people are paying the price for that. There's no question that anyone who's received their auto insurance renewal in the mail has also probably had quite a shock at a clean driving record and their insurance going up by 30%. Why? Because Jason Kenney and the UCP gave in to insurance lobbyists and let them take the cap again that we had put in for car insurance costs, because we knew that those companies would take advantage of people if we let them. And the UCP let them, and lo and behold, we're being taken advantage of. So there's two examples there. And then there's the price of school fees. This coming September, parents are going to be shelling out hundreds of dollars more for basic public education. There's, of course, tuition and student loan costs. There's our property taxes going up because there's been so many cuts to municipalities. So pretty much everywhere where Jason Kenney could make a choice, and I haven't even talked yet about our personal income tax increases as a result of inflation, but everywhere where there could be a choice made by this government, the choice was for us to pay more, for corporations to make out like bandits, and on top of that, he gave away billions of dollars in a corporate income tax cut for only the largest companies that were already extremely profitable. So we can see here why we can't trust Jason Kenney and the UCP, and that's because their priorities are all wrong. They simply don't care about ordinary people.
And may I ask another question? Oh, yeah.
I wonder if I could just add something, because you asked specifically about this. Is this what's specific about Alberta? And so the UCP government have cut, seniors benefits and AISH recipients. So that's a specific policy of them, and they've de-indexed them. That was something our government brought in. And so now with cost of living so high, seniors would have been able to have that support. And so that's very specific. And same with recipients on AISH, just like Joanne. So those are, policies of the UCP. So it's because of them, people have less.
My last question would be the factor of trust. So, we all hear in politics, right, the promises being made, and then, we hear promises being broken. So what would make the people of Alberta trust your word, and that not only are you going to do what you're going to say, but just the trusting factor at this moment in time?
Well, I think there's no question that we will do what we say that we are going to do, and people trust Rachel Notley to look out for them and to follow through on keeping her word. There is no question that the vast majority of Albertans, and I mean the vast majority, whether they're on the left, the right, or in the exhausted middle, do not trust Jason Kenney and the UCP. Why? Because he has lied to people directly and serially and without any kind of remorse on everything from healthcare privatization. I hear that on the doorstep all the time. You know, he signed that guarantee he wasn't going to bring in more private healthcare, and lo and behold, we're bringing in more private healthcare. He has said, "Oh, I'm not going to raise your taxes." He's just done it in a very sneaky way that is now going to bring in $1 billion more a year in personal income tax. So at every step of the way, whether it was the pandemic or having to do with jobs and diversification or public education or public health care, Mr. Kenney and the UCP have really been quite duplicitous with Albertans. They have failed to deliver and failed to level with Albertans in a number of different ways. And there is no question that when Rachel Notley says that she is going to do something, she does it.
Any other questions in person?
I would like to talk to Joanne just off camera.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Take a pass online for questions. Reminder to press *9 if you're calling in, or raise hand function if you're on Zoom. And seeing none, that concludes today's press conference. Thank you, everyone.
Tens of thousands of Albertans have already provided their idea for how we can build Alberta's future. You can too by going to albertasfuture.ca.